Good morning, everyone. Honourable Blackmore, Honourable Peter Seja, Mr. Eddie Lambert, PS Kendall Johnson, PS Blackmore, the press, Chief Technical Officer. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to address you fellow Dominicans, to share information, because information is key in order to help us to move forward. As you're all aware, the tourism season is open, and tourism is definitely one way to create significant economic activity into the country of Dominica, the beautiful country of Dominica. The only way out of poverty is to be employed, and the only way to increase your pay is to also be educated. So we implore persons to ensure that you are trained and that you have jobs and you do those jobs well. The season has opened in terms of the cruise season, and we've had 2 vessels so far. The first vessel being the Princess, and we had the Carnival Cruise Lines yesterday. So far, from most of the reports, everything has went well. There were no major critical issues, but obviously there's always scope for doing better. The Ministry of Tourism will continue reviewing. So even when we had the first ship, we ensured that a few days after we had a post-mortem to see what were the issues, so we can try to fix those. We'll try to have these practically not every week, because as time goes along, you'll have more ships coming in. And we'll have to do it on a week. Sorry, not after every ship, but maybe on a weekly basis, with as many stakeholders as possible, to ensure that we know what the issues are and we can try to address them. One of the things that we've done is to try and speak with the stakeholders on a more frequent basis, so that we know what the issues are and we can address them quickly. Obviously, all the issues cannot be addressed, so you try to address those that are of critical importance. Most of our sites are up and running, and as a result, the cruise ship passengers have been able to go to the sites with no difficulties. You have 2 critical areas, which would be the Boiling Lake, which some of the trails have been washed away. So anybody planning to go to the Boiling Lake, you must go with what I call a veteran tour guide, to ensure that you don't put yourselves or your lives in danger. Also, the White Kubuli National Trail, there are about 7 trails that are not functional. So again, you need to ensure that you have a guide. Also, by having a guide, you're also creating employment for persons. So again, that is what we're trying to do in the Ministry of Tourism, is to ensure that as many people are employed, creating economic activity. We're also employing everyone to, especially the hotels, the restaurants, to use local foods, so that the agricultural sector also benefits from this activity. Many of you would be aware that we recently, the Brio Report was recently published, which talked about many things in terms of shortcomings of the country. To me, I am happy that the report came out, because it confirms all the things that we knew. And based on the advocacy, based on the regular meetings we've been having with all the stakeholders, all of these things that have been spoken about in the report, we are aware of them, and all the stakeholders have talked about them. The critical thing is to ensure that we do things to make sure we address those issues. And in speaking with the stakeholders, we definitely have all of the answers to them. So take, for example, customer service. Customer service, as we would really imagine. And we always say that tourism is not just direct, it's also indirect. So when people go to stores, they expect a proper level of service, and the report shows you that the tourists go to other shops. So when they score us, they're not just scoring us based on the flower girl, the tour guide, the taxi operator. Even when they go to the respective places in town, they're also going to score us on that. They're going to score us on the cleanliness of the town. So we ourselves have to do as much as possible to ensure that these are arrested. So from the Ministry of Tourism, we'll be putting in place more customer service training, so that persons can give better customer service. In terms of experience, people are not coming just to sit down or just go to the waterfall. It has to be an experience whereby they can truly speak about it. They have to be immersed in what we do as Dominicans. So we all know that the system has changed. Back in many years ago, they were making as much money as possible they were selling all the tours. Now that has changed. most of the tours are being sold outside, which means their profitability is going less. So they will go to a country where they can make more money. So we have to address those situations. I recently came from the FCCA, as the Florida Cruise Association, a conference in Cozumel, where the Brio Report was actually was presented. And we heard and we saw all the things. The great thing is that we knew what the answers were. I got the opportunity to speak with Michelle Page, who is the head of FCCA. I also got the opportunity to speak with Mr. Mickey Harrison. Mickey Harrison is one of the owners of Carnival Cruise Lines. And we explained to him what the objectives were of the country and what the plans that we had in place to address those situations that they spoke about and that we all know. And I'm happy to see that Mr. Harrison has actually endorsed those plans, to the point that without even saying anything to him, whilst he was at the round table speaking with all the other cruise executives, with over 500 persons at the conference, he mentioned, hey, these are the things that Dominica is planning to do, and if they do that, it would allow them to get more ships. Now, very importantly, nothing happens overnight. We all have to put ourselves in the right place to make these things happen. But at the same time, the cruise ships, it takes 2 years. They plan their itineraries 2 years ahead. So even if you do all of these things today, you're not going to immediately get an impact over a short period of time. So we have to be mindful that it takes 2 years for the crews to plan their itineraries. But if we can do these things, which will allow the cruise ships to make more money, to allow, most importantly, to also allow persons in Dominica to make more money, it means that the cruise ships will be able to send more ships to Dominica. So we have to do all of these necessary things to ensure that more money remains in Dominica. We give the passengers more a better experience. And again, this experience does not just go for the cruise, it also goes for the entire stay over. And the stay over are truly the most important people who we're trying to target. The great thing about the cruise is that they monitor the results on a quarterly basis. So if we monitor where we have our shortcomings, it means once we fix those, the entire tourism brand will be fixed and the experience will be fixed. So thank you very much. There's one other one in terms of the Friendship Bridge in town. From the information from the WASCO, hopefully within a month, that bridge will also be repaired to also alleviate the traffic congestion in Roseau. Thank you.